just got dethroned. The beta just kicked the shit out of him, and his brother is now trying to kill him. So
Yeah,
I
I don't
have
know.
them
He may
separate.
have, yeah, he may have some kind of genetic thing going on, or he's sick. I mean, I don't. I've never had a rooster develop any type of shakes before, so I really couldn't tell you what exactly it is.
So
Um,
normally you don't name your food. Now I name them. I named them Cain and Abel, and and I doubt it would be a vitamin deficiency because we give them kitchen scraps every day.
right. Yeah.
So that closed the door for that. So it's either an illness or genetic issue, which means that I shouldn't have him reproduce of my hands. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd say that if you separate him and he doesn't improve in like 10 days and he looks like he's suffering, I would just dispatch him, man. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, what I've been
Uh,
considering, I was thinking that his brother Cain was just being evil and horrible and violent, and now when I'm thinking of it, is maybe he's just trying to protect the flock and get rid of the bad bird and doesn't want the
oh
other
yeah,
ones
they
to stay.
they know when somebody's weak. Yeah, they have no qualms with killing each other, killing a weaker bird. So if you keep them separated and you don't see them recovering, I would just do yourself a favor and dispatch them because otherwise you're just wasting food. You know,
Yes, and
you're feeding a bird that isn't going to produce.
especially the especially these days where the food is getting dangerous because you could just buy a bag of food and sterilize your birds from what we see happening right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And my yard is a bit too small to have them being able to only survive from foraging, so now we'll have to supplement and start working on black soldier flies and those mealworms and stuff. I have to work on that.
yep, yep.
All right. So you second my call that this bird needs to go.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say if you've given him, 10 to 14 days of separation and he's not improving, then yeah, I just dispatch him in.
Well, it's
And
been like a month. It started before Christmas that I noticed it, and it's not getting better. But I figure it's not getting better because now he's stressed because he just lost like 2 weeks ago. He just lost the throne. He's no longer the alpha.
right, yeah. No, I mean, I would, you know, use
Yep, I'll do what has to be
some
done.
enzymes for fishing bait. You could always freeze that. You know, his liver, his heart, kidneys, stuff like that. You could freeze that and use it for fishing bait. That's probably about the most that I would use. So
I understand. I understand, just in case.
yeah,
Well, thank you for answering my question.
yeah, of course, dude. Sorry about your bird. Sucks when they
Yeah, it's.
get sick.
I wanted two roosters to have diversification and the genetics to have a flock that maintains itself. And now I'm scared of buying another batch of birds and again getting a bird that is sterile or that will sterilize the other birds because they've been fed with Tractor Supply, bullshit food.
Right. Well,
Luckily,
you can always buy from an actual hatchery, man. The one that I recommend is McMurray Hatchery, um, and they'll ship you live birds overnight, and you pick them up from your post office. So
I've
as
been
long as
doing
you have
that.
like yeah,
I've been using my pet chicken, but what I mean is, well, you're right. If the parent was sterile, they wouldn't be an egg, so that's not danger.
right.
Yeah, I might have to replace them. Do you think one male and six hens provides enough genetic diversity to be able to maintain a flock? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd say like 1 to 10 is what I found is usually where they start to split off. Because I had like 20, I had like 22 hens at one point and two roosters before the red tails got into my shit. But they would split off about 10 per rooster. Um, so 1 to 10 is pretty good. So 1 to 6, everybody's definitely uh, getting what they need from the rooster. So, and then of course the best way to look is like if you just periodically crack an egg, and for breakfast or something, and you see the bullseye in the yolk,
Yeah,
then
been
you
looking
know that your rooster's doing his job.
since you mentioned that. Been looking, and they all have almost all have that white spot.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
you're
The
good to
white
go.
spot will be there on all eggs, but the thing to look for is that if it's fertilized, it'll look like a bullseye. If it's not fertilized, it'll just be a blob.
Okay. Yeah, I was just worried. The reason I got two roosters was so I could get enough diversification in the genetics so that I could maintain a flock with start a flock with those. But I figure I'd start if the first generation has all the same father. I might have one generation that is a bit slower, and then afterwards, I'm
Yeah,
obviously gonna get 50-50 hens roosters approximately.
right, right. Yeah, and like the way chickens are, just because they're so small and vulnerable, you don't really have to worry. Like, so I have a father son rooster couple, right? So like, uh, the two roosters that I have, one is the other one's father, and they're both breeding with the same birds. And I don't have any type of like genetic deformities or anything crazy like that. Uh, you know what I mean? So like
Yep.
brothers and sisters, as gross as it is in the chicken world, they'll breed with each other and be perfectly fine.
All right. Now I just need to buy the incubator. Been waiting
Yep.
for the next money income to buy
Right.
that.
Yep.
Thank you.
And do yourself a favor when you buy an incubator. Get one that automatically turns the eggs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the fancy Brincia one. Brincia, something like that. It does all that and humidity control.
Nice. Cool.
Because I don't want to, you forget one day to check humidity and something, and then it's dried out and you lose your batch.
Yep. Yep.
But those things are expensive.
So cool, man. Well, good luck to you. Sorry about your rooster again. I'm sure you'll be able to replace him.
All right, thank you. Let's give the show back to Kevin.
All right.
See
Actually,
ya.
that's all part of the show. This is the educational process for raising and
Yes.
rearing poultry. The conversation you just heard is valuable if you are planning on embarking or if you are currently raising poultry and running into the issues presented during that conversation. I find that to be very valuable information.
Well, one information we need to spread quickly amongst everybody raising birds is that there's been some people have raised red flags about the feed, and that some of the feed from Tractor Supply has been sterilizing birds, supposedly or possibly. So people need to be careful. I feel lucky that I've been using only the organic feed from Tractor Supply, so maybe it didn't get uh, the bad stuff in it, the bad feed with the mRNA that sterilize your bird. And people need to know that because you get your birds, you're thinking I'm going to be self-sufficient, everything's going to be healthy, I don't have to go to the store, and I have a backup source of food. And then those motherfuckers, they sterilize your birds.
Yep.
They've been messing with a lot of our agriculture, messing with the agriculture and the horticulture. It's been
Yeah, not to mention the gigantic fucking egg factory that's burned down over the weekend. You guys see that?
did not see that.
Yeah.
And I've been wondering,
Egg prices going up in the news, and an egg factory burns down. Oh.
I am being directed to Element by Rainoth. What am
It's just a
I
case
to
of coincidence. 451, it's just a case of coincidences.
Right. Yeah. The all coincidence. Yep.
There's the Jitsi right there, and let's see. Lady Ninja is posting links. One moment, let me go and open up a notepad so I can collect these and get to
Let's see
them
if we
as
can.
we go.
I just pulled into the house, so we'll see if we can see if I can show you guys these little birds hatching. See if they've made any progress.
Welcome. Hey, Ranoth. And I'm going to drop this in there for future reference. And for anyone else who is wondering how to get into the Jitsi, if you would look on the site where you're currently viewing this stream, you will see that the link is right down there in the more area, I believe. If we move on over here to where I am streaming, I'm not going to be showing this in the Jitsi, just for the Odysee people. Right down here. There's the link right here. Pre-show show and Jitsi chat. There's the Jitsi. If it ever gets attacked, and because for some reason a number of our fellow streamers have been having their Jitsis attacked, I'll just make it a private server. I'll just download the damn server myself and then try to attack it.
Go potty.
And good morning. How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you?
Another beautiful day. And Matt, did you think about trying some antibiotics first before you put it down? Like some penicillin?
No, I did not consider that. I've gave him a treatment of ivermectin, pour on the neck. I thought it could have been like leg mites and something like that was affecting him, but it was weird that it would affect only him. So yeah, I could try to go that route and try to get antibiotics and try to boost him with medicine.
Yeah, it's always good to try before you just put it down.
You guys see my camera there?
Oh, nice.
One moment, let me go and pull it up. Are those the ones which are pipping?
Yep, that one's pipped right there, and then the one next to it over there is pipped also.
What type of chicken did that speckled egg come from there, 451?
That's one of my Barred Rock Rhode Island Red crosses.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, now how often do you find those kind of eggs in your grocery store? Not often. You will not find... Look at that. Look at that pebbly marking and such. How glorious is that? How beautiful is that egg? It's very fun. It's like looking at Morgan Freeman.
That's right.
Yeah. That
it's a little
one.
Morgan Freeman.
Yes, that little chick's name. I want that chick's name to be named Morgan Freeman.
The chick's name.
No, he's got to get out of the egg
what
first.
What you talking about?
Oh, that chick's on the way. That chick is on the way. That chick has made a little air hole right there. That chick is going to be just fine. Come on.
Yep.
Let's cheer that little chick on. Come on, bust out of that shell. Could you imagine? Now, I don't know why my brain would work like this, but I heard over the weekend that some guys, I think it was from Salty Cracker, did some guys' testicles explode?
Soccer guys. Yeah.
How? Does anyone know?
Didn't really investigate too far. But
I guess that's something that'll come up later. Oh, the piano. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. 45-1 actual.
Of course.
It's always a joy. I mean, look at that. That's the miracle of creation right there. The miracle of creation happening right there in the incubator. I mean,
yeah, it's one of the most rewarding things about homesteading is when you complete the life cycle and you actually create life. It's pretty awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So I forget who dropped this link on us, but it's from the NIH, from PubMed Central. Evidence for a connection between coronavirus disease 19 and exposure to radio frequency radiation from wireless communications, including 5G. Now, for people who may want to go and read that article, I'm going to throw that right back on over here into Odysee if you want to read the article. Now, what it comes down to is that there is evidence, and it's factual evidence that low radiation does cause issues, and presumably it's because of the way it oscillates water. Anytime you put a frequency through water, you're going to cause temperature differentials, which can have a negative effect on an organic bioform. In this case, human beings, but also insects and also livestock and such. They came to a conclusion that there is substantial overlap in pathobiology between COVID-19 and radio frequency exposure. The evidence is presented here and indicates that mechanisms involved in clinical progression of COVID-19 could also be generated, according to experimental data, by things like Wi-Fi exposure, cell phone exposure, 5G, microwave exposure. Therefore, we propose a link between adverse bioeffects of this radio frequency exposure from wireless devices and COVID-19. I don't doubt for a moment that being exposed to constant streams of radio frequencies can cause negative reactions in the body. In the military, working with comms rig, it wasn't too common, but every once in a while you got a soldier who wasn't being careful, and they would end up harming themselves by just simply attaching an antenna cable to the baseband unit on the radio, and it would send an RF frequency through the finger, and it would exit to whatever was closest that was grounded. There were a number of soldiers who burned the marrow of the long bones in the arm, the radius and the ulna, shot out the elbow because they stuck their finger into the nub, which is where the antenna is supposed to connect, and it shot out through the elbow into the power supply unit behind them. So radio frequencies are nothing to play with. The amount of radio frequency you get off your cell phone, off your microwave, off of your Wi-Fi, all that stuff over time, yeah, that's probably going to have a negative effect on you. I don't use a cell phone myself. Yeah, we do use Wi-Fi. Is it going to have a negative effect? Probably. Considering that such frequencies and such technology were not available until my generation. It's like, in my lifetime, I lived for about, 27 years without cell service, without Wi-Fi. We just didn't have it. And now, fast forward about like another 20 some odd years later, we've been living with it, and there's been an increase in cancers, but that could be also from diet. It could be from processed food. The correlation to like what we're seeing in the increase in health defects, we have to do more research. I suspect, though, with the prevalence of so much RF energy being released into our atmosphere, that it probably is causing a number of negative health effects. So the NIH, it pleases me to see that at least it's being investigated through the NIH and then the article given to us on PubMed. I'm glad they're looking at it. Specifically, they're finding evidence presented here, a premise that the radiation, radio radiation, in particular 5G, which involves densification of 4G, and what they're using as densification, their definition, I have no idea. But I imagine that what they're saying is taking a radio wave, which might look like this, and then taking it and making it so it's like that, compressing the frequency, is what I imagine they mean by densification, which may have exacerbated the COVID-19 pandemic by weakening host immunity and increasing SARS-CoV-2 virulence. Now, how it would do that, I have no idea. One moment, please. I don't understand how the radio frequency would increase the virulence other than perhaps weakening immune systems, which would make people more susceptible. Now, back in the AIDS days, what we called that was an opportunistic infection. That if you had a pathogen which could exist in society and was often not problematic, the only people who tended to have an issue, let's say with the common cold, were those people with weakened immune systems. And then at that point, anything that happened to that person, we would call an opportunistic infection because the pathogen had the opportunity to infect a person with a weakened immune system. So, are the radio waves causing people's immune systems to weaken? I guess we're going to find out. Now, causing morphologic changes in erythrocytes, including echinocyte, you know what? These are the parts of Latin we need to start looking at. So, erythrocytes. What is it? Let's go find out. Search DuckDuckGo for erythrocyte. Okay, so it's a red blood corpuscle as distinguished from white or colorless blood corpuscle. Let's see, it's a mature blood cell that contains hemoglobin, so it carries oxygen to the bodily tissues. And that is important in our bodies, that our oxygen is transferred from the lungs to the vessels, pumped out through the heart, through the arteries, brought back in, oxygen depleted by the veins, back to the lungs to be, respirated as carbon dioxide, and the cycle continues until death. All right. So it might be messing with your ability to hold oxygen in your blood cells. That's one thing they're trying to look into. The impairing of the microcirculation and reducing erythrocyte and hemoglobin levels, exacerbating hypoxia. So what we're talking about here is probably capillaries. Probably talking about you know what? I did a video about this in December 2020 when I was talking about the problems with hypoxia. Hypoxia is when you have low oxygen levels in your blood, and the oxygen levels are not readily available to feed your cells. And when you put your cells into the anaerobic state, they start to die. And then that by doing the death, it leads to junk, and that junk clots up and it makes your vessels sludgy. And then you get enough sludge in your capillaries, and then you get necrosis because, let's say, your skin, for instance, being the largest organ on your body, all those people don't tend to understand. The skin is actually an organ. You don't feed your skin properly, it starts to break down, it opens you up to more infections. Then you've got all the other systems in your body. The renal system, like your kidneys, your hepatic system, like your liver. The pulmonary system is already taxed out because it's being messed up by whatever, being clogged up with either dust or a number of dead lymph because people are too sedentary, so they're not doing their lymphatic pumping by getting up and getting mobile. So you've got these clusters of fucking, it's like sewage in your system, which isn't being cleansed out. Improper hydration, too much soda, too much sugar, too much inflammation. The body's not able to get it out. Now you add a bunch of radio waves on top of that. Yeah, these things are going to cause a problem. So you're going to have a lot of inflammation. Now, I'm just going to say this is a long article to read. So if you are interested, I have posted the link for you. Please, by all means, go and look at it. Now, I believe Lady Ninja was dropping off some links. So let's go see what those were. All right, Twitter, Wall Street. What are we looking at here? All right, so from Wall Street Silver, new media narrative trying to convince you that one of the healthiest foods on the planet is bad for you. Eating 2.5 eggs a week increases risk of prostate cancer by 81%. Well, says who? Source, Harvard School of Public Health study, 1994 through 2008. Why are you telling us now? Why are you telling us
Bullshit.
now? Yeah, that's why I call bullshit on that as well. I totally call bullshit on that. It's and why
So
you... What's up?
they've been trying to tell us since 2000 that eggs were bad for us.
They've been telling us that sugar is good for us, too.
Say eggs were bad. Broccoli's bad. It keeps doing a cycle between everything being bad, and then one person will say it's good, and then it's bad. It's a cycle.
These whole proteins are not bad for you. Broccoli is not bad for you. It's like unless you have a clotting condition, in which case broccoli can cause issues with your clotting factor. And good morning, Iceberg. And good morning, Zero Die Loser, and good morning, Lady Zero. Now, I haven't gone through everyone. I haven't gone through everyone in the list. But good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the show on a Monday. It's good.
Oh,
Oh, it's good to have you here. It's good to have you here. People, we have a thing called common sense. What is good for us and what is not good for us? Food in moderation, depending on what that food is. Eggs, yeah, in moderation. Do you want like too many of them? Probably not. You could end up giving yourself gout. You could end up giving yourself kidney stones if you're not properly metabolizing the proteins you're putting into your body. If you're using a high protein diet and not getting enough of the other nutrients, you can get things like hair loss. You can get like skin disorders and all that stuff. It's a matter of moderation. Eating 2.5 eggs a week increases the risk of prostate cancer. Well, let's look at other variables as well. What else could increase prostate cancer? Gee, alcohol? Oh, we're not going to talk about that though. We're still going to have plenty of alcohol available. I mean, look what they did over the past 2.5, 3 years. It's like they
Well,
made sure the liquor stores stayed open. What's up?
the alcohol and all that's just to keep people in a fucking daze so they can continue going through and fucking doing what they're doing without anybody actually uprising and saying no.
Oh yeah, keep people like, suppressed and everything in the head. Now broccoli does have some toxins in it. Yeah. Well, everything has some toxins in it. Everything, almost everything has a certain amount of toxin in it. It's like even if we were brought up on the purest of diets, we would still produce a certain amount of toxin. And that's what the liver is for. The liver is there to clean toxins. The kidneys are there to filter your blood. The systems within our body are built to handle those toxins. Through evolution, we have progressed to be able to handle certain plants there are certain foods that we can eat that we cannot feed our dogs, that we cannot feed our cats, which we cannot feed our birds. And the reason is that they're not evolutionary conditioned, and they may never be, to handle those kind of toxins. For instance, you would never want to eat the liver of a polar bear because a polar bear's diet contains a lot of fish. And what is the element that they get? Oh, it's something. I forget which element it is that they get from this.
Mercury.
It's not the mercury. It's something else in the salmon, and you get too much of that. If you ate like a little bit of polar bear liver, you would end up dying because you would hyper.
Selenium.
I don't know if it's selenium. It's a nutrient though that if you have even too much of it at like a brief moment, it can cause organ failure, which means that you're screwed. So there are toxins in broccoli and plants and stuff like that. And you know what? I wasn't going to touch on the masturbation, but yeah, it's like if you're not for men, if you're not exercising your prostate, and I wonder what the hell that means for me because mine's just sitting there like it's in a damn library, kicked back in a rock lounger, like having, oh my god, my prostate is fucked because they did not remove that. So yeah. You know what else can cause prostate cancer? Being a tranny. There. So, they want to talk about like reducing the amount of eggs you eat. Well, then I'm going to say this. Prostate cancer is caused by transgender gender affirmation. So stop gender affirming people because you're going to give them prostate cancer. There. There. Take that, medical field. What's going on over here? It's not a little toxin. Some people can't even eat it. Plants are a really good chemical that don't want to be eaten. That's why grass makes that smell when you cut it. Did you guys know that? That pleasant grass aroma when you're like mowing the lawn? That is
That
the grass defense mechanism saying stop it because it thinks it's being eaten.
except it smells good to us, so we just continue.
Yeah, we just continue. But if you try to like try to feed your livestock on that cut grass, they will probably not eat the cut grass because it will be so sour to them.
Well, you have to let it sit. That's how they create hay.
Oh yeah,
You have
yeah.
to let it dry.
Let it dry. And by the way, for you people out there who are like new to farming and stuff, if you do plan on going out there and getting out in your fields and making hay bales, do not do not store wet bales. Two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to get mold. Number two, those things can combust because of the heat as they decompose. Or, yeah, they'll start to decompose. And the next thing you know, you've got a fire in your hay mow. So don't do that. Don't and don't get bales wet and then store them. You're just gonna mess with someone doing that. Just don't.
Good
So,
morning.
good morning, Callie.
Don't store anything wet
Yeah,
if you
don't
can
store
help
anything
it.
wet.
Dry it.
So moving on over to the next one here.
Can I just say something about immunity?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Mindy on YouTube, all you have to do is type in Dr. Mindy fasting, and she particularly, I think, focuses on women, but supposedly after 72-hour fast, your immunity system starts to reset itself. And I just fasted. I'm off my sugar. It was really hard. Um, the second and third day, I was very shaky, and it was an addiction. It was coming off of the sugar is a drug. It was really. I want to say it was. If fentanyl withdrawal was compared to sugar addiction withdrawal, fentanyl addiction would be 1,000 times worse than coming off sugar.
Fentanyl addiction would be 1,000 times worse than coming off sugar. Is that what you said? Callie?
Sorry, I hit my mic because I had to cough. Yeah, I'm saying that it took me 2 days to come off sugar, and I
Yeah.
have been on fentanyl, and I had to have medical intervention to get off the fentanyl patches because they weren't sticking on my body correctly. So I was withdrawing all the time
Mm-hmm.
off of it instead of getting the benefit of having the patch on, which would be a slow titration of the drug supposedly coming into my body 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
The patches you put on for, I think it was 3 days. Um, so I was already experiencing these withdrawal symptoms, but once I just took the patch off, literally sugar withdrawal is like 1% to 1,000% of what fentanyl does to your body. And I'm just trying to compare these two things because sugar addiction is real, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
definitely very hard. It's definitely very hard. I mean, I couldn't, like, the third day, I was like, I thought, oh, I just got to eat. I just got to eat. I just got to eat. And I just kept praying and praying and praying. And I made it to almost 80 hours, which was more than the 72 hours because I slept. I went to bed. But I was shaky. I didn't feel like I could go out. I didn't feel like I could walk. Um, I could walk around the house, but even walking around the house, I was like, it's better for me just to be sitting so I don't fall.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is fentanyl is like 1,000 times worse than that. Just to put it into perspective of what these people are dealing with this fentanyl. Now, I would say opioids like OxyContin and OxyContin. Actually, the clean OxyContin was probably like 50 times worse than sugar coming off the sugar. The
Yeah.
opioids was maybe 500 times worse. So with the fentanyl, you're doubling the worseness of trying to get off that drug. So stay off the drug. I know we weren't talking about that, but recently I know of a friend whose baby was born on fentanyl.
I was gonna get to
And
that and rejoin. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
okay, I'll stop now. I'll stop now.
No, no, no,
Okay,
no,
thank you.
no, no, no.
No,
S- Stop.
no, that's a new phenomena. That's a new phenomena. Doctors were not probably prescribing fentanyl to women who were pregnant or were trying to get pregnant.
Right.
That would be my thought of, the most ethical thing for a doctor to do. Not saying that there's ethics in medicine anymore, But I do believe that there are still some ethical providers out there that are being controlled by the AI system that they have to comply with when they're doing medical, um, procedures or giving
No doubt.
you some type of medication. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, this is a new thing, and it's probably been going on for a while, but it was the first time I've heard a firsthand story of a baby being born on fentanyl, and it took him 3 weeks to kick it.
That's
So
a
his first
shame.
3 weeks, yeah, his first weeks were him just, you know, kicking the drug. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
what I
but that
meant
baby's
by
no longer that baby's no longer with his mother. She gave up her parental rights,
mm,
but the baby's still in the family. So that brings
okay.
up other issues. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you had brought that up like last week, and that's what I was gonna say is I wanted to come back to that because you had brought it up last week. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a darn shame to have babies addicted to fentanyl
Yeah.
upon birth.
So the main thing I wanted to just put out there, if you are immune, if you go to the doctors and the doctor says you have cancer right away, I would just start a 72-hour fast as fast as you can. I would go to Dr. Mindy and look up Dr. Mindy fasting. Uh, she'll pop right up on YouTube. She's very famous. She's trying to get millions of people to fast for better health.
Mm-hmm.
She is a doctor. She's not your doctor. She's not my doctor, but she's on the internet giving the information out. And there's a lot of people talking about fasting and the benefits, but she's really I don't know. She touches me in some way that I really believe that she's telling the truth about these things because she pulls up research and shows you and tells you, what she reads it. She reads the research. So, and also there's she does focus on women and fertility, so that's another avenue. Um, I personally felt reset when yesterday after I'd come off the fast. She tells you how to come off your fast. You're supposed to do your broth first, a probiotic, then a prebiotic, and then a protein, each a half hour apart to help your microbiome. And these are things. And then yesterday I didn't do that. I didn't come off my fast because I went into a 24-hour fast. And when I got off of my fast, I was so freaking hungry, and I ate wrong. I had the plans to go ahead and do the, come off on the beef broth and then the probiotic and then the prebiotic. And then I hope I have it the right way. Um, I believe the probiotics are like sauerkraut, and then the prebiotics are like, I don't know. You'd have to look that up. I'm not. This is really the first time that anybody ever explained to me, what was
A
actually going on in my
prebiotic,
gut
a
function.
pre a prebiotic would be like bacteria, like lactobacillus would be like a prebiotic. A probiotic would be like let's see, the after effects of like when you're fermenting cabbage and sauerkraut.
Yeah. So you
Um,
do that one first. You do the cabbage one first, where you're having the fermented food,
yeah.
and then that's going to eat and so that's called a prebiotic.
That would be like a probiotic. So
Probiotic. So I had it right. The probiotic.
like kombucha, sauerkraut,
Yes.
yogurts,
Yes.
those are like probiotics. And then
Yes.
prebiotics would be the things which make the probiotic, like
Right. And
the
it seems to me,
lactobacillus. Go on.
yeah, it seems backwards to me, but the kombucha or whatever is going to eat the prebiotic, and then you're going to have your protein, and then that's going to fill you up, so you don't binge as soon as you come off your 72-hour and wreck all the work you did for 72 hours to reset your immune system. And yeah, very
That's
interesting though. I noticed definite changes in my body. The side pain that I always have from the gastric bypass has almost non-existent, thank
mm-hmm.
God. Brain, hair, like my head, I used to have a tender head. It doesn't feel as tender. Um, there was something else I can't remember right now. Obviously, my memory. I just woke up, so.
Well, good morning.
Well, thank you, and happy Monday to everybody. The last Monday of January. 2023.
Yes.
It's going
So,
fast, guys.
and speaking of coming off fast, if you are one of those people who does like the intermittent fasting and you find that you're eating too much when you come off your fast, try drinking like, I don't know, maybe like 8 ounces, 16 ounces of water prior to
Oh, well,
eating.
and yeah, and she actually had you go through the steps of eating eating them once every half an hour. So you start off with the broth, make that, drink that, and then in the next half hour you do the probiotic, and then in the next half hour you do the prebiotic, and then in the next half hour you do the protein. So you've already been eating for 2 hours, even though it's so little, but you shouldn't really need a lot of. Your stomach is shrunk, so you shouldn't need a ton of food in your stomach, and so this is your brain is you know your brain is working in a way that it might not have worked before.
Yes.
But yeah, Dr. Mindy, fasting, that's all you need in YouTube, and you'll find her. And I find it amazing to fast from a with that medical knowledge in my head instead of just as a kid when my dad would say, yeah, you should fast for 3 days, and not really telling me, how it was working medically. And I just didn't, I did it. I did the fast. I just didn't come off of them right ever. I didn't know the science. And now that's the science that she is doing, she is putting out for us after having done a lot of peer reviewed medical journal research and probably also working with her clients.
Yes. The fasting, I would. It's just economical if you're like dealing with like your economy, your budget, and such like that. Eating one meal a day is completely doable without much negative side effect after you get used to it. Um, I want to get back to this story about this eggs though, with the burning over here. I'm going to suggest with the fasting, add fiber to your diet. And what we're talking about over here in the chat, I can see about like bread. I'm not talking about bread. I'm talking about things like roughage, like psyllium husk or vegetables, like what have you. Anything with like a high fiber content, because there's something about like the fasting aspect of it. It can constipate you. So make sure that you are getting fiber in your diet. Your body will thank you for it. That way you won't be grunting and straining on the porcelain throne and feeling like you're about to pass a freaking small universe past your anus, because I have to be nasty, nasty on a Monday. All right, so let's take a
That's
look.
hilarious. And speaking of bread, sourdough bread is a probiotic.
After you bake it, it's dead.
Is it?
Yeah. The only
Uh,
benefit you're gonna get if you eat the dough raw, yeah, then you're
uh,
gonna you're gonna get some
yeah.
of the enzymatic action and the benefits.
Oh, okay.
But once you bake
But I
it,
couldn't imagine.
all those properties go away. The one thing that you will get from sourdough if you're making your own sourdough is you will have less GERD because
Okay.
it will have eaten the gluten that tends to give people problems. Sourdough bread and rice bread are probably the most friendly options for people with sensitivities to gluten, and which, some people have that. My solution is don't buy store-bought bread. If you're having problems where like you're going to bed at night and you're like erping and burping and burning and stuff like that after you've had bread, make your own bread. Stop eating that bullshit they're selling at the store, because that stuff, most of it is shit. I mean, it's just full of, read the ingredient label, it's full of shit. All right, so let's go on over here. I like that. Who is that? Special Ed? Bread makes me. Yes, Special Ed. Yes. Bread does make you poop. The fiber is a lie. Now, I don't know where you're going with that, but yeah, fiber. I'm a proponent of that. I enjoy it. So, eggs. Let's look at what's going on over here. All right. So we're not going to go a whole lot of audio because all it is a bunch of snapping, crackling, popping of an egg factory burning somehow. Okay. So multiple fire departments responded to a massive fire at Hillendale Farms in Connecticut. Hillendale is one of the largest supplier of chicken eggs, with an estimated 100,000 hens have died. You know what? That was a nasty facility. I'm not saying that it's a good thing it burned. I'm saying this. I don't like those kind of industries to begin with. I understand that it produced food for people, and at the same time, I have a mixed feeling on that. Because if you've ever seen the industrial environment of egg collection in these factories, it's vile. It is vile and disgusting. I prefer to get my eggs from people I know or from smaller locations, but we are a population which is in the billions. So I understand that there needs to be factories to make these eggs. I am curious as to like why it burned. Was there a manure? Like, were they not properly cleaning the manure? Was there a composting accident? What started this? Either there are a lot of the methane that comes off of chicken shit. It's like, what caused this? I think it was, I don't know, maybe a diversity hire. One can speculate, but it is a shame because even though I might have a higher standard for the food I put in my body, it doesn't mean that other people should starve because city people aren't out there raising chickens. Let's just be quite blunt. The people who live in urban settings aren't exactly the masters of production or husbandry. They're just, they consume, they go to the offices, work with funny money, do all the numbers and white collar stuff. Lord knows I've been one of them. Doing all this meaningless frittering around, which when it comes down to it, the economics, these white collar jobs are so unnecessary. They produce nothing. They consume everything. Just for real. Medical, maybe not so much on the medical side, but as far as like banking, finance, and you think about like what a city is actually made up of, and it's mostly clerical workers. A lot of that's
Yeah, but
pointless. Bookkeeping.
they all need to go to the doctors to get their notes so they can, call out sick 12 times a year.
Yeah. And good morning, Pastor Chatelet. And good morning, Pond. Good morning, Pond friends. I hope y'all are doing well. So let's take a look. So they're telling us that eggs are bad for us, and then we're watching egg places, like egg factories, burn down. Let me show you something. Egg substitute. And do you know where I'm going at? During the Depression. Because what are we actually moving into here? Does it feel like we might be moving into a depression? They say that we're not in a recession yet. I can tell you this, we are in a recession and moving towards a depression. So what are they trying to get people ready for by going and having people live with less and less and less? For the people who don't have a means of production, for people who don't have education on how to grow their own vegetables, maintain orchards, maintain livestock, and such, going and telling people that gardening is harmful to their health by touching the soil. I mean, granted, don't put it in your mouth. You're going to get a parasite. You might get like a nematode. You could get some giardia or some sort of like freaking thing that'll make you like, I don't know, defecate blood. There are definitely a number of things in the soil you do not want in your body. And at the same time, let your kids play in the dirt because you want to get their immune systems up. At one time we used to drink out of garden hoses, for Pete's sake. You know what crawls in and out of garden hoses? Do you know rodents actually go into garden hoses when you're not looking? And you're going putting that stuff in your mouth. Yet somehow here we are, still alive and kicking and stuff. But oh no, be afraid of the sniffles. I don't want to get too far off of anything. What the hell is that, Pastor Chatelet? Goodness
I don't know.
gracious.
I used to love the water out of the garden hose. Am I weird?
No, it has a special flavor.
Oh, okay.
I want to look at this. I want to look at this in the big screen and just see it, and then get back to this egg substitute thing. What the hell is that? Pastor Chatelet. Ugh,
Is
anyway.
that the diversity hire chick that was on the Supreme Court who didn't know what a woman was and put us through all this bullshit?
No, are you not looking at Odyssey?
I seen it. I
Oh,
was just
okay.
joking.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, so let's see.
My
Going on.
jokes are sometimes dry.
It's okay, we're all waking up. Let's see. Depression era. Curious recipes. All right, so. Ha! This is what. You know what? I remember this, though. I remember this kind of living when I was a child. I remember this kind of stuff. I did not live in the Depression, but it was towards the end. It was like a couple of years out of the Depression. And it was it wasn't a couple of years. It was a couple of decades. But the Vietnam War happened. My father was a Vietnam vet, and I remember simple living. I remember simple
Well,
farm life.
your
So,
grandparents were depression babies like my grandparents.
yeah. So, let's see. They talk about using hot dogs. Oh man, can you imagine what the hot dogs are gonna be made of? Oh, mealworm. Mealworm. Just take a bunch of congealed gelatinized mealworm with a bunch of seaweed agar and go and put that all together and just, it's like hot dogs by themselves already, most of them are nasty. Unless you're making hot dogs yourself, you never know what the hell are in those hot dogs. It's like, but for the most part, I mean, like, who's died? I mean, like, who's died from eating the hot dog? That's what the argument's going to be. It's like, eat the bugs; it won't kill you. Except that we don't know yet, because has there been a study on it other than the people who are in the countries which are currently so poor and destitute that they're made to eat the bugs? And then do they look happy? Have you seen these people? They don't look healthy at all. They look freaking emaciated, unhappy, just ugh. It's their diets. It's like what you get in, what you put in comes out. It's that whole garbage in, garbage out truth. It's just like you're going, oh, it's malnourishment. Man. And then go and think, I'm just putting it together right now in my head. Mealworm hot dogs. Just nasty. And then eventually it'll get to the point where they don't even grind them up anymore. It'll just be like a bunch of mealworms in a I don't know. They'll probably be like rectangular blocks or something like that you serve like meatloaf, and you'll be able to
Your hot
see.
dogs will be wiggle. Oh, sorry. Your hot dogs will be wiggling in the package.
And they might as well be. Just have them living. Just like freaking here's some fresh food. Your fresh food can literally crawl away from you. Man, good morning, fucking epic. Oh, grandma's boy. Her pussy smell like great. Fucking epic. I can't process that right now. But I'll get back to that. And then there's Kamala Harris with her damn hot dogs. She catches a lot of them. I'll give her that. She's pretty good. I was going to the egg substitutes they used to use though. One of the things they would use was bean water. And they would say, just whip bean water into a froth, and you could use that to lighten your pastries if you could afford flour, because otherwise your pastries would be like so dense. So let's see, what is so yummy you want us to get back to? 29 weird Great Depression foods that will make you grateful you weren't alive then. Bitch, please, I like cream chip beef. I'm okay with mulligans too. Bologna casserole? I'm okay with that. Poor man's meal? What are you making, lady? Let's find out.
Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Clara. I'm 91
Hey,
years old.
Claire.
Today we are making meals from the Depression.
Hurry up, Claire.
Socks. Couldn't afford anything to wear. But we survived.
Yes.
We survived. We were all fat. We're eating potatoes.
Yeah, you want to know what fat was back then?
Potatoes.
You want to know what fat was back then? You want to know what the definition of fat was back then? About 170. 5'8", 170 pounds. that was considered. That's where the gays got gay fat from. It's like you are
Size
toned.
10 for girls was fat. Like if you were anything over size 6, you were like looked at like you're fat.
Yeah, all this supersizing shit is like new to our nation and to even to our countries where we come from. The only people who were fucking fat were the royalty, and they had all sorts of health problems. It's like it wasn't until the industrialization of our food and everything did we start seeing massive obesity going crazy. It's like I was talking about with like gay fat, anything above like what 5% body fat, and you are fucking fat in the gay society and stuff. But it's like for the depression area, fat was anything over about like 170 at 5'8". It's like you were fit. And so I kind of know what this woman's talking about, and she's laughing about it, and bless her for that.
And we ate potatoes every day. Potatoes with pasta, potatoes fried, potatoes with eggs.
And they also work their asses off.
The way my father would buy a sack of potatoes, a sack of everything, flour. Potatoes were $1 a sack.
$1 a sack, and they work their asses off
That was a lot of money.
because they didn't have
And
microwaves.
You got a gunny sack dress out of that.
I think I'm gonna peel.
And you got a dress out of that too. It was
I think
itchy as
today
fuck.
the kids like this meal. My grandsons like it. His friends like it. They come here for a poor man's meal.
And this article said things that make you glad that you
We
weren't
had
alive
mashed
back then.
potatoes. We take the best part out and still eat it.
I'm going to get back to this article and show you just
Next
how
step is to cube the
ungrateful,
potatoes. After you peel 'em,
ungrateful
you
this
cube 'em.
author is.
Take out all the bad
I
parts.
love potatoes.
You know, I had to quit high school because I didn't have stockings to wear.
Oh, were you?
Bad.
Was that here that you didn't
Now
have
I'm
any?
putting the onion in the potatoes.
Was she not privileged?
Well, it all depends on how many potatoes you have.
Am
And
I
think in this case, one onion is enough.
Am I to understand that
Now
these
I'll
white
put a
people
little
had
oil in the
problems and
pan.
obstacles?
Just
That they
judge
weren't so
by
privileged
yourself
their
how
whole
much
entire
oil
lives?
you need.
That
If
they
it
actually
runs
had
out
to
of oil, you
work
put a little more,
and
but in this
build
case,
and
maybe it's
suffer?
enough. So I'm gonna
Is
put
this
this
my
on the
understanding
stove
of
now
our
and fry
history?
it. So, turn on the gas.
Turn on the gas. Sweetie, that's a coil. But you go for what you know.
I got all the neighborhood kids coming here. They come in and they say, "Can we have the poor man's meal?" They all like it. And we made up that name, poor man's meal. We should have called it the depression meal.
Yeah, the kids weren't coming in with cell
Getting
phones or
hot
anything like
dogs
that.
ready, cutting
All
them
like,
up so we could fry them with
like
the
you know,
potatoes.
I don't know what's going
It all
on
depends how many
outside of
potatoes
this
you got.
like
I
little
think
black
about
screen
4
I'm
is
like
enough
looking
for this
into
amount of
all the
potatoes.
time. I can't be bothered by reality. Wait a minute, I'm being gender affirmed.
Okay.
I do want to
Hot dogs
cut
are
up my
half
body.
cooked and
I do want to go have a surgery. The
they're
phone is
tasty, and
telling
they
me
were
to.
cheap,
The
so-
phone tells me
and
that's
that
good
was
for me.
cheap. Stick in. Whew, cold. Well, Mark comes over. Nana, make me the poor man's meal. Then he brings his friend Tom. I usually cook for Mark's friends, their boys. And they like my poor man's meal too.
They better be learning how to make that shit.
Starting to fry now.
You better be teaching those kids how to cook.
The depression was very bad.
Yeah,
It was a long one too. I
yeah.
had a little garden of my own. And a lady came, one of my neighbors, with a shopping bag, and she was going in my yard, in my garden. And I says, "Where are you going?" She says, "I'm going to pick a few things." I says, "Well, why don't you ask me? I'll give them to you, but I don't want you to go there and just take what you want." I said, "That's a lot of work for me."
Yeah.
She came to fill her shopping bag with my garden.
And those progressives will do that. You just
I didn't
watch.
think you were so touchy. I says, "I am touchy." I says, "I work hard to have that garden."
People who don't
just
work
made
for a
herself at
living,
home.
don't work for what they have no fucking idea what it takes to produce anything. And they will just go and take it because they think it's just like those dumbasses
put
at
it
Chap
with a
or
couple
Chop
of
or like where
tablespoons
put
of
those tomato
sauce
plants
in
on top
there.
of cardboard thinking they were going to wake up the next day and find fucking tomatoes on the vines. Doesn't work like that.
The next thing is I'm going to put the hot dogs with the potatoes.
You go, girl. Yes. A very
Take the
simple
potatoes,
meal.
if they're cooked, then you know they're done. Hot dogs will get a little crooked.
Now, I'm not too keen on hot
Well,
dogs.
those
I don't
kind of
like hot
bends.
dogs. Now, sausage, on the other hand, sausage and potatoes, I'll go for that. What you added?
I
Is
put
that
the
some
water
water?
in so the potatoes will soften up and make a nice sauce for them.
Yeah, you don't want to eat raw potatoes. Too much neurotoxin.
Taste it.
Is that Tom and Mark?
Let it cook for a few minutes and they're almost ready to eat.
Did you see her grandkids? Her
Everybody
grandkids are
will
sitting
sit
there
at the table and
watching
eat.
her. They're not on their phones. They're actually like, this is a meal. This is friends and family
They're
having.
not talking. Evidently they like it.
Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Nana.
Yeah, maybe a little bit staged, but it seems pretty raw to me. That is an old woman in her kitchen. Now, there was a camera person there. Yes, I get that. But it looked organic. She was down to earth and real. She has a lived experience going through the Depression. And then we've got a bunch of chodes in this country right now who are trying to tear this country down. And then they're going to expect, after they tear this country down, then they're going to expect that we take care of them. Fuck that to a certain degree. I mean, I get it that, I get the whole turn the other cheek thing. It's like, but don't go and rape me and then go expect me to carry your kid. I'm using it's a euphemism or an analogy. It's like, don't go and put me in a situation where we're fucked and then go and look to me and say, how do we unfuck this after you fucked it? It's like, you crazy psychopathic bitch. It's like, you did this to all of us. And when I say psychopathic bitch, I mean people of this mindset where they go and destroy, thinking that it's for the greater good. And then after they get done messing up and shitting all over the place, then they finally have a moment of clarity where they're like, what the fuck? Where did this all come from? It came from you, you dumbass. You did this. You destroyed it. And now you're like, oh, well, I'm hungry and I'm cold. And and I need like my creature comforts and everything like that. You destroyed them. They're gone. You don't get them back. It's like, there are those of us who can recreate that stuff. But if you think for a moment, we're going to give you you had your opportunity. First impressions are a bitch. And you made your first impression. And your impression was to come into our kitchen and shit on the floor. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Or you better learn how to do it yourself right quick. It's like, now that you've messed it up, I hope that you have come to a hard realization. Now, this is for people in the future and people in the present. If you're messing shit up, if you're destroying order and bringing nothing but chaos, then you will reap what you sow. And unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of us out there who are going to end up like having to deal with your bullshit. Don't be surprised when we've had enough of your bullshit. A lot of us have had enough of the bullshit, but we're terrorists. Oh, we're terrorists for even speaking about it. To go and like say that this unhealthy way of living, it's like that's somehow terror. Well, I suppose to a bunch of slobs who think that, free sexuality and just like, fuck whoever you want and like lie around until 2 p.m. in the afternoon and not have any vim, vigor, or gumption to like get up and then better your life. And you think somehow sitting down with a bunch of fucking watercolors and making some stupid ass painting with a bunch of eyes all over it, or some stupid ass, I don't know, going and taking your menses and going and like smearing it on your face and then taking your face and smearing that into a paper plate and then trying to put that on eBay as some sort of, I don't know, inner penguin expression of angst for $45. is somehow beneficial to society. Sweetie, I have something to tell you. Fuck off. That's where I've got to go with that. Anyway.
Yeah. So have you seen the stuff on Madge and Malali, the kids that she adopted?
Madge and Malali, who are you talking about? Are they like Madonna? Who?
Yeah, yeah.
I have not.
And, oh, okay, yeah, they're going. The Malali, the country she got the kids from, is going after her. They're
Good.
going after. Yeah. Actually, not the country. The Ethiopian. It's an Ethiopian something child. I don't know. There's an Ethiopian group that's going after everybody that's going after the African kids, I guess. So she's one. She's the top. She's one of the ones on the top that they're supposedly going after.
I would too.
Yeah.
Did you see what she did to her kid? Did you see what she did to those adopted kids? And how she
They don't even. They look miserable.
Madonna's kids.
The kids in the pictures look miserable. So speaking of pieces of, I watched a video on the billionaires of Switzerland. Sorry, that's me. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like there are a number of like posed images with Madonna and her kids, and at first glance, at first blush, they look happy. They look happy, and at the same time, I'm not ignorant to how advertisements work. It's for her brand. It's all about the brand. It's just all about the fucking brand, the photo ops. Fame is not nurtured by simply going and skulking off to a dark corner and letting the world forget about you. No, you need to be ostentatious. You need to be big. You need to make an impact. Well, Madonna went out and got herself a bunch of accessory children. I mean, she could have had her own. She could have taken, it's like any number of things, but no, she wanted the most bang for her buck.
Droids and clones cannot have children.
Well, they may not be able to have children. What she did is she and her marketing group, because keep in mind, Madonna is not just Madonna. Madonna is the singer and a whole crew of individuals who created the Madonna brand. So those aren't just Madonna's kids. Those kids are owned by whatever holding group holds the assets to the Madonna brand. Those kids are also beholden to that holding group. So we're coming on down. I see that Pastor Chatelet did notice the gay twinkle or sparkle or whatever the hell that is I have programmed in. Yes, that was. We are 7 minutes away from going to 45-1 Actual's Big Dick Energy Brigade radio show. But before we do, let's look at some shit on Odysee. Let's see what's coming up. Super Anime stream by King of Casual is live in 10 hours. Of course, we've also got The Pond, 24/7, a live stream for friends. And let's see, apparently Jesse Lee Peterson is currently live. Started 1 hour ago. And let's see, DJ Brandrack, I guess he's got like an ongoing stream now. That's pretty cool. Rant Nation with The Boiling Point. And, yeah. Let's see, DJ Bass has got something going on, but I don't know what that is. And I think that's about it as far as, oh my lord. And then Salty Cracker. Salty Cracker had to get in on the, what is it, the Transgator. Salty Cracker, I expect more of you. It's like, really? Come on now, sir. Oh, let me see. What are you doing? Let me go and like take a look at your face. Yes. I was expecting a different kind of face. I was expecting that one where he like smirks. Alright, well, I'm not going to find it. Not here, not right now, not during this show. So, where is 45-1's? Where's his banner? 45-1! Where are you? Man, don't tell me I have to go and like find him going through this. Going through my channel to go to the channels on the wall. 45-1 Actual. Come on, where are you? Do you guys see something I don't see? Because he's not showing us like going live. It's not saying that it's going to be ready in a couple of minutes. And I like to do a transition. I like to do a transition from this show into 45-1 actual show. It just feels good because I like shouting over his intro as I leave. And if I don't get that, I don't feel like my day can go on. As a matter of fact, after this show, I'm going to go get on the elliptical and do some cross training. But thank you very much, Pastor Chatelet. Let's go and copy that link address in. It's like, why don't I have that? I think tomorrow I'm doing an extended show, by the way. It's going to be weird going, there it is, it just came up. All right, so tomorrow's an extended show, I believe. Let's just waiting for the Big Dick Energy sound to come on through. Come on, 45-1, get that music pumping so I can yell over it. Otherwise, it's going to be very awkward. It's very, very awkward for me to end this show without that show going and without his show going and getting all like blasting and stuff. Come on, where is it? Play main song. Anyway, for anyone who doesn't have the link, Pastor Chatelet has provided the link. Why don't y'all get the hell on out of here? Go on over to 45-1 Actual's Big Dick Energy Brigade radio show because he's got the Motivational Monday coming up. For those of you who may need some motivation, by the way, while we're doing this, share, tweet, and share out 45-1 Actual. Share this man's work. He's so busy. And look at that. Right on cue, he has stirred the music. It has been a pleasure hanging out with y'all today. Thank you for joining me. And we will see you tomorrow. God bless.
At peace to this young warrior without the sound of guns. If I could recollect before my hood days, I sit and reminisce, thinking of bliss of the good days. I stop and stare at the younger, my heart goes to them. They tested with stress that they under, and now